Okay, so I got some free time. Got a question from a subscriber. One of you guys stated, Andrew, for some of us it's too late to go and try to learn new skills because of our age. Nothing wrong with that. First of all, it's never too late to go learn new skills or return to college or whatever you gotta do. It's never too late. Not in today's day and time. It's never too late to start a business. But in this particular video, some of you guys was asking, what do you do when you first get a cash truck, whatever that is, brand new truck, old truck, 2012 truck, 2020 truck, 2023 truck, whatever the case may be. Not telling nobody to go out there and buy a cash truck, of course. That's my disclaimer, because I understand you guys watch other YouTube channels and you hear that Andrew promotes going to buy a cash truck and all this stuff, and when you come over here you always hear me tell you the opposite. Not promoting nobody to go get no cash truck. Start an authority, go get a trailer, or put $1 towards the trucking industry. And when you break down and call me, I'm gonna remind you of my disclaimer. Another person asked me, it's got in the comments, they say, Andrew, man, something about I think a 2010 truck or something. Y'all was asking me, is it a good idea? It's $12,000. I'm not there to see the truck. And if you asking me, you asking the wrong person. I'm not a mechanic. I ain't got no idea. I don't have no idea. I'm just being honest with you. I'm not a mechanic. But if I was to personally go buy a truck myself, I can tell you the first things I would do to it. First thing I would do is put on brand new batteries, a new alternator, a new starter. It's the first thing I would do. New batteries, new starter, new alternator. That way the truck is gonna fire right on. You got new batteries, you got a new alternator charging the system, you got a new starter. So you ain't got to worry about when you get to the fuel island and turn the truck off and pump diesel, and when you get back in, click, 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 click. Now you got to get this $2,000 wrecker to come pull you up out of the fuel island and to somebody's shop to put a start on. You ain't got to worry about paying all that nonsense. You just put a start on. In the beginning, you ain't got to worry about the truck not starting up. At least not for the first 3 years, but anything can happen. So that's the first three things I would do. Then, of course, I would get an oil change. Change the oil, change the filters, change the coolant, flush all the old coolant out, and put brand new coolant in. Why? Because me personally, I only like to let the coolant last 100,000 miles. And they do got this new type of coolant that go up to 300,000 miles. That's fine too. Problem is, you buying a truck, you don't know how long the coolant been in there. More than likely, they ain't never been changed. So drain the coolant. That way that brand new coolant can protect them cylinder heads. And put fresh oil in it, whatever type of oil it takes. Put new filters on. Preferably, I like the filters from the dealership. I don't like the lube refiner and all the other type of aftermarket filters they use over at Love's. I don't know anything about that. I want the filters from the dealership. You can always go buy the filters and bring it to whoever do your oil change, and they'll put them on. They won't charge you for their filters. So do an oil change, flush the coolant. And while you in the shop, of course, you gotta have them check the transmission fluid as well as the differentials. Now me, I like to get my differential oil change. Some shops say just top it off. Me, I like to change it. I go full synthetic. Usually they can open up both the differentials, see how old it is, test the oil, they'll tell you if it's any good or if it ain't. Me, I change both of mine. I change them, because if you don't change them, you just ride with the same differential oil in there. Eventually you're just gonna burn out the differentials. Now you need new rear ends. Speed core, change it out. Loves to change it out, or top it off. Either one. Like I said, me, I changed mine out. Full synthetic. Transmission, we can top that off. We can top the transmission fluid off, but make sure it's fluid in the transmission. Because guess what happens if if it ain't fluid, or if it's low on fluid, you're gonna start to hear, metal on metal, grinding noise in the transmission. So it's a lot of fluid that must be changed out. You got coolant for the cylinder heads. You got oil for the engine. You got transmission fluid for the transmission. You got differential oil for the differentials. And then, of course, you got to grease the truck up. You got ball joints and zerk fittings. You got to grease all that stuff. $30. It's usually what the truck stop charge. Have them grease the truck, grease the fifth wheel. You don't want no metal on metal. You want to get that grease inside the zerk ports. Some of the old school drivers will tell you it's cheap insurance also. And it is. Make sure that truck greased up. Make sure it's greased up. So, you thought you was just there for oil change, didn't you? Nah, there's more to it. You can't just do the oil change. Nah, you gotta do the whole truck. You got a whole truck. They got different fluids in there. All that shoe shine got to be changed out. And when you change all that out, now what you're gonna do is what we call maintenance records. You're gonna take a pen to some paper and you're gonna write down the date and the mileage. Okay, I did my oil change. Let's take today for example. October 5th. Oil was changed October 5th. You can put the time, then you put the mileage. Truck got 100,000 miles, truck got 400,000 miles. You're gonna put the odometer on now. You got different intervals of when you should change the oil. For the old school trucks, 10,000 to 15,000 miles if you're running that conventional. If you're running that full synthetic, depending on what type of truck you got, it can go all the way up to 75,000 miles. Me, my recommendation, you got a conventional truck, 10 to 15,000. If you're running full synthetic, I wouldn't go past 30,000 miles. That's just me, They got new technology, Andrew. We can keep the same oil, but we got, this bypass filter system. Well, really just the filters that need to be changed. I don't know nothing about all that. I'm just telling you what I would do. Write the date, write the mileage of when the coolant was changed. After 100,000 miles, I'm flushing the coolant, because coolant is cheap, man. You can get it from Walmart. A gallon of coolant, what, $14? You need about 10 to 12 gallons every 100,000 miles to protect the cylinder heads of the engine. I would change it every 100,000 miles, or you can change it early, 50,000 miles, whatever floats your boat. But 100,000 miles is gone. Yes, I done all of this to all of my trucks, if y'all want to know. Except the Mercedes, the first time, before I blew the engine. Never known to change the coolant. Same coolant was in there from the first day I bought it, until the time the cylinder heads blew. Now I changed the coolant. Another way that you can tell what all you need to do to your truck too is you can go get the manual. The manual usually tell you, the different intervals of when things need to be changed on the truck. But usually when we buy a truck, we ain't got the manual. We ain't got all that. But what you do got nowadays is ChatGPT, which you just ask it. Give ChatGPT your VIN number, what type of truck it is, what engine you got. Ask it, hey, what all should I change? It'll let you know. When should I change it? How often should I change it? Another thing I would do, you could do an overhead adjustment every 100,000 miles. Well, you tighten up the valves on the top of the cylinder head. Costs about $550, but I done got priced all the way up to $1,500, depending on the shop. Have them tighten up the Jake brakes too when they do that overhead. See, it's a lot to learn with an older truck. Now, you may say, well, Andrew, this is for any truck. Of course it is. Of course it's for any truck. Well, Andrew, wait a minute. I've been driving a truck forever, and I ain't never... it's oil back in the differentials? We ain't never had a change over at the company I work at. Of course you ain't. Of course you ain't. Of course, you just oil changes only. I know. I'm well aware. Well aware. Next thing I would do You got your new start on, so you ain't worrying about the truck not starting when you get to the shipper or the receiver, and you gotta turn the truck off at the guard shack and fire it back on. You ain't sitting over there wondering if it'll start and all this nonsense. You got everything new on now. The next thing you can do is, if you got some spare cash, put on new coolant hoses. Preferably take the black rubber hoses off and put the blue silicone heater hose rubber lines. Let the coolant flow through the blue lines. Take all that old rubber off, put on some new coolant hoses, so that when you're driving down the road, you ain't got to worry about popping a coolant hose, because you still got an old hose on there and it didn't rub the old hole and all this, and truck overheating, and or you going up a mountain, coolant hose blow off and all this. All them hoses, it's best to change them out. It's best to change them out. That way you ain't got to worry about going down the road and popping coolant hoses and all that. Plus you got fresh coolant in, so you don't want to lose all this brand new coolant you just got, right? You don't want to lose all that. So the next thing is, of course, you need to make sure all the lights is working, because you got to pass the DOT inspection. If you got an older truck, 07 and older, it's a little bit easier to change your lights, and it's really kind of easy to do electrical work yourself. But you got to make sure all the lights work. Blinkers, flashers. Now usually, I understand a lot of people, we ain't electricians. You can go to TA, speed code, they usually get you right. They usually fits all the lights and the wiring and all that stuff. But you got to make sure all the lights working. You got to make sure windshield wipers work. You got to make sure it sprays out the water. Make sure you fill up the water jug back at it. The jug to hold the freaking the sprayer fluid. Forgot what you call it, but make sure that's filled up. We get that. You can get that from Walmart, or you can get that from the truck stop, about $3. Gotta make sure all the lights work. Gotta make sure, like I said, windshield wipers, they got to work. If they need to be replaced, replace them yourself, because it's your truck. Usually ain't nothing but a screw or two. Just figure it out. Stand on top of the hood, figure it out. If you can't figure it out, the truck stop, you can go. You can pay them one time, watch what they do. They let them show you, and that's about all you need to pay. So now all your lights work. Of course, you gotta make sure the horn work. Make sure the air horn work. Make sure the city horn work. If the city horn don't work, as long as that air horn work, you only need one working horn, you'll be alright. But you gotta have a working horn. Usually that ain't never been a problem. Usually you're gonna have a working horn, so that ain't really gonna never be a problem. Plus, when you do a little inspection, especially at the truck stop, they ain't gonna have you blow that crap anyway. But they're gonna check all the lights. Next thing they're gonna do is they're gonna check your tires. Make sure, of course, you got enough tread depth on the tires. You gotta have more than what? 4 30-seconds in the front on the steers, 2 30-seconds or more in the back. That's just the eyeball test. You know if you need to change the tire or if you don't need to change it. You can always go on Amazon and get you a tread depth gauge. I think they $5 or less for a whole pack. If you need to measure the tire, then measure the tire. Me, I just passed my tires with 5 30-seconds. But they can't get over on me at Lowe's, because I know what the tires gotta be, 4 30-seconds or more. So when, hey man, them tires don't look like they'll pass. Let me get my tread depth gauge out the truck right quick. Let's measure it. Nope, 5 30-seconds. You see it? Okay, that's gonna pass, ain't it? I know it is. I'm gonna get my paperwork. I ain't got all day. I don't want to buy your $700 tire. I don't want to do that. Yeah. Make sure you go right there, write it up. Give me my annual inspection. Quit playing. So that's what I did at Lowe's. When you go get an annual inspection, you already know how to inspect the truck. You know all the lights got to work. The windshield wiper got to spray. Everything got to work. Horn got to work. Tires need tread depth. Next thing they're gonna do, they're gonna check the brakes. I'm not a brake mechanic, so I'm not gonna give you advice on the brakes. I would tell you, that's a job for a mechanic. They're gonna be listening for air leaks. Depending on what truck you got, You can patch some of the air leaks, not patch, that ain't the right word. You can fix some of the air leaks. You know, I had a couple of air leaks that was just fittings. That all they had to do was take a wrench, take the old fitting off, take it up the freight line and get a bunch of new fittings, come back, put the new fitting on, air leak gone for the next 10 years. If it's just some fittings that need to be replaced, which you'll take some soap and water, spray the fitting, you know, air the truck up, turn the truck off, listen for the leaks. If it's coming from a fitting, hit it with soap and water, see the bubbles. You say, okay, that's what it is. Just take the fitting off yourself, man. I wouldn't even pay nobody to do that. Because it's gonna be probably more than one fitting. You probably just take one fitting off, put that one on. Okay, I think this fitting over here leaking, then replace it. And then eventually, you know, it's something so simple. Cause you just turn the wrench. It's something simple. Y'all saw I did it on my video. So now if you need new airlines altogether, you go get airlines from the dealership. I ain't got no, I'm not the airline specialist. All I can tell you where to get it from. But you may have to have it cut. Next thing I would do, you got fresh oil, transmission ready to go, differentials ready to go, you got enough meat on the tires, the brakes, either you got them adjusted or you got some new brakes. Whatever it is, you can pass inspection. All the lights work, blinker, turn signal, all that stuff, everything work, you good to go. You good to go. But the motor, you don't know how long the motor gonna hold up. You don't know how long the transmission gonna hold up. But what you do know is you put some fresh fluid in there. You done the filters, including the air filters. You got air filters too, so that engine can breathe. Don't just do the oil filter and the fuel filter. Do the air filter too. You gotta put a new air filter on. Okay, the engine, you need the engine to be able to breathe. You're gonna do all these filters with the oil change. The air filter don't come with the oil change. You gotta ask for that. Winter time coming up. That's right, winter time coming up. So you got another filter I need you to change. Usually it's underneath the truck if you got a classic or some of the older trucks, or it's in the front to the right, you know, it's the air dryer. Gotta change out that air dryer filter. It's gonna be winter time. That water freezes up in them air tanks. You don't need that. You need your brakes properly working. Once again, the truck stop, TA, Love, Speed, all that, they can change the air dryer, the air filters. They usually stock all that stuff. Make sure you change it. Make sure you get it changed out. Like I said, all them filters on the truck, everything need to be changed out. Everything need to be greased up. I know you ain't learned this in CDL school. I didn't either. I didn't learn it watching YouTube. Some of it I learned on YouTube. Majority of it, I'm gonna tell you how I learned. I went out there to the oil field, Odessa, Texas. There was a place that I used to go to called Beeline. Or was it Lube Refiner? Or was it Beeline? I'm gonna tell you exactly what it is right now. I used to take my truck almost every month. It was almost like a Valvoline or a Take 5 Express. But it was like a Valvoline. You know how like cars, you can run your car through Valvoline, like Express lane, get your oil change and keep on going. But it was called Beeline. Let me see, Beeline, Odessa, Texas. Yeah. That's what it was right there. Beeline. It was a little barn like that. And every week, me and my partners, we get in line. It was like an express oil field, an express oil change line. You drive your truck in there, and if you don't know nothing about trucking, they gonna let you know quick. Hey man, what you in here for? Well man, I'm in here for an oil change. Okay, yeah, no problem, we did the oil change, but what about your differentials? What about your transmission? What about your air filters? What about your air dryer? They'll start letting you know, wait a minute, hold on, what about the coolant? You're like, wait, hold on, what's all these other parts? I said, the oil change. Oh God, we gonna do the oil change. But what I'm asking you is, when the last time you took a look at them differentials back there? You in the oil field, ain't you? Yeah, I'm in the oil field. Okay, so I mean, is your differentials? I mean, are you pushing 300 degrees Fahrenheit, and you ain't got no sensor to let you know, cause you got some old oil up in there? You want us to check? They go back in and check, boy. Good God Almighty, damn. Either ain't no oil in it, or it's barely some oil in there, or the oil's so old that it ain't even protecting the rear ends no more. They'll put some new oil in there. Now you're gonna pay for the oil, but they gonna get you right. And that's how I learned. That's how I learned. So every time I roll up in there, hey, I need everything. I need everything. Yeah. That's how I kept my $15,000 Mercedes going in the oil field. Constantly running. So I did it. Shots, depending on where you're running. Obviously, I don't know. Some shots, when they bad, you'll see oil stains and stuff coming from them. Let you know the shot is bad, but not all shots that go bad leak oil. Kind of depends on which one you got. I think you got the ones that's oil based, or you got the one that's like gas based or something like that. I don't remember, but you got the yellow ones, you got the black ones. I do the black ones, the Monroes, I believe. Yeah, Monroes. I think those are the black ones. You got Monroes and magnesium or something like that. I ain't ran the yellow ones in a long time, so can't tell you, but nothing wrong with putting brand new shots on there. It used to be cheap, man. Shoot, shots used to be $45 to $50. Now I think they run at 80 to 100, or could be more than that. I don't know, but you want to make sure you got good shots if you're in the oil field. Now, if you running, interstate and all that, it ain't really a big deal. But you got to grease your truck up. And it is a big deal if you got a busted shot. The busted shots, they got to go. Same thing with the airbags, not so much of a big deal. Obviously, if one leaking, it need to go, and not just one airbag. The one beside it, on the other side of the truck, you gotta replace both. Same thing with shots. If you replace one side, you gotta do the other side. Okay? Same thing with tires. You can't just do one tire and leave the one right beside it all jacked up. You replace one, you gotta replace the other one. If they say your brakes are all right, just tell them, hey, adjust the brakes. Make sure they nice and tight, Have them check the slack adjusters. I got a bad slack adjuster right now on the Classic. How do I know? Because I checked, popped the hood, pulled the slack adjuster, too much play in it. I got it on video, too much play in it. I already got the slack adjusters though. I think I do, I'm not sure. Y'all know I got them slack adjusters sitting over in the blue truck. I just gotta call Freightliner and confirm that's the part number for the I don't know if that slack adjuster is for which truck it is at this point. I just know I got them. I got brand new slack adjusters for a truck. I don't know which one, but am I missing anything? You got new coolant hoses around that engine. One thing you could do, go back and drain your air tanks by hand. Drain your air tanks with your own eyes. See the water coming out, or mist, or air, or whatever it is. See what's coming out. If you see oil coming out the air tanks, okay? If you see oil coming out, you probably got a bad air compressor. The air compressor, you got oil bypassing through, going through the lines into your air tanks. You're gonna need a new air compressor more than likely. I'm not a mechanic though. I'm just telling you what I hear going on, okay? Air compressor for my truck, about $700 for the blue aftermarket one. The Bendettes, about $700. If you ain't got no oil in the air tanks, nothing like that, air still building up, governor still working, cut off at 120, 125, whatever it cut off at, then hey, ready to go. As far as the engine, you done everything you could to it. You got all the filters, fresh oil, fresh coolant. You done everything you need to do. Fresh coolant lines, new alternator. The water pump, I usually do water pumps when I do the end frame. I would say if you're gonna be real heavy in the mountains, I would put a new water pump on, and perhaps maybe a new radiator. Like for example, if I was to really go out there and haul reefer with my Classic, and I wanted to be all up in the mountains, I would put on new coolant hoses, I would get a new radiator and a new water pump, and then I'd be good to go all throughout the mountains, all that good stuff. There's actually a company if you don't want the OEM radiator, there's a company that make better radiators. I think 4-core, 8-core, and 12-core. I want to say it's Detroit Radiators or something like that. They got a YouTube channel back in the day. Let me see if I can find them. Detroit Radiators semi-truck.
Detroit Radiators semi-truck.
Detroit Radiator Corporation. I don't know if they still in business. They got a YouTube channel. Y'all go check them out. If they still in business, that's who I call up, get me a radiator, tell them what I'm doing. You know, hey, I got me a Detroit 12.7. I want to go and play up in the hills over in California, you know, Dallas Pass, Reno, Nevada, Washington. You know, they'll let you know, hey, forget the OEM, we got a, you know, some 12-core radiator. They'll build it for you, whatever the case may be, build it. Maybe it's already pre-assembled. They got what you need. You go all up, down, through, sideways, blow Josh, you know, freaking off the road. It's gonna pull and cool down everything you need. So that's what they gotta do. Or you can take the OEM. To be honest, the OEM will work just perfect too. And I'm just saying, if you want the extreme, if you want the extreme, you know, you want to make sure you get the job done. I just seen Interstate Maybe, he just entered California for the first time with a blowing black smoke. I said, oh, it's about that time. That funding must have ran out. Trump must not been playing, huh? Was the 30 days up that quick? I got called SoCal. SoCal was the 30 days up over there for was it Newsom or something like that? The funding, did they pull the funding? We can enter California now, blowing a bunch of black smoke. Let me know now. Let me know. Let me know. Go grab my reefer and come hang out with Josh. Josh, he gonna show me around if y'all don't know. Josh told me when I come on the West Coast, he gonna show me around Vegas, and then I'm gonna probably follow him over in Los Angeles, California. He gonna show me all his favorite spots. You know, he got favorite spots with his reefer over in California, mainly Los Angeles. He don't really go no other city in Los Angeles. He gonna show me around. I'm trying to figure out what Josh like to hang out in Los Angeles and what's in Las Vegas. What casino he like? He you know, I told him come up with an itinerary, man. I'll be there. It's gonna be a minute though. It's gonna be a minute. But anyways, as far as the engine go, it's things you can do to prolong the life of the engine. Like number one, you ain't gotta be in the mountains. You ain't gotta be putting all that stress on no old engine at all. You don't need to be in California, Washington, Pennsylvania, Virginia. You ain't gotta do none of that, man. You can be right on flat land. You can be out in the oil field in Texas, flat land. Louisiana, flat land. You ain't gotta go put all that stress on the motor unless you want to. More stress, more wear and tear. You know? Why are you running the engine? Just start saving up for engine rebuild. Have a little 20,000 on the side. Once you get to 20,000, you can stretch that motor wherever you want to go. Once you got the 20,000 on the side, rebuild that motor, stretch it wherever you want to go. Okay? Have fun. Enjoy. But anyways, I'm going to go and get on up off here. It's about 6:12. The Titans. Boy, I had the TV turned off by the second quarter. I couldn't take it no more. I said, good God, oh man. We at this point, I don't even know what we got going on. I don't even think we're going to win one game this season. I ain't got no hope in this, but all right, y'all, man. Hopefully y'all learned something. Like, comment, subscribe. Let me know if you learned something in this video. Let me know down in the comment section down below. Did you see the Tennessee Titans come back in the last second of the fourth quarter, fool? Gonna give us our win. Yeah, we going to the Super Bowl, fool.